eBay has been super mega good lately. Beginning of the year, we had hopes, high hopes that yes, when we put items on the website, eBay was going to do its job to sell those items. This was the hopes that we have. As a matter of fact, every year, this is the same thing. We always have to have this hope as businessmen, businesswomen. If you don't have this hope that, things are going to work out, you have pretty much not started. And luckily, eBay has been holding their own side of the bargain pretty decently. I'm not going to lie. And I'm just taking a look at the transactions that have happened over the weekend. Solid transactions. Started with a HP, with a Lenovo ThinkPad T14 Gen 3 sold for 590 euros. A HP Z240 PC sold for 350 euros. I'm just leaving at the fraction, the cents. It makes no sense to talking about the cent. The main amount there was 350 euros, including shipping. These are gross amount. And then there was a power supply that sold, a HP 120 watt power supply sold for 18 euros, and the HP Elite Desk 840 G7 sold for 537 euros. That was including shipping. And I see that's not enough. A 120 gigabyte Samsung SSD sold for 15 euros and 90 cents. These are huge amounts. And of course, the idea is that this, sales run that eBay have started now, doesn't dry up. Things will continue to work like this because this is the biggest motivation that we have, to wake up in the morning, go to our shops. Some of you operate from a warehouse like myself. Some of you operate from a garage. But the biggest motivation that we have is that we have items selling. And if items are not selling, I'm telling you, it's also not the end of the world. It's just a time for you to, sit back, take a look at what is working, what is actually not working. Perhaps you are listing the wrong product. Perhaps you are doing something wrong. Your prices are too expensive. This is one of the biggest reasons I see when people complain about sales. Either the product they are listing is too expensive, or the product is not just in demand. This is 2026, and if you are still doing this eBay thing blindly, if you want to do it like that, I'm not going to come here to teach you what to do, how to make your business better. But you see, I've just tried both methods. It's so easier to just stick with what works, stick with what people have proven to want to buy. This is if you're talking about selling electronics, they are pretty much not an unlimited list of items that you can actually just research. You're talking about laptops. You want to take a look at the HP laptops, the recent one, the 10th gen, the 8th gen, Intel Core i5, the Intel Core i7 laptops. Talking about Lenovo, the same thing. Talking about Dell, the same thing. Monitors, the 24 inches monitor, the 27 inches monitor, the 34 inches monitor. These are things that people have constantly, proven to want to buy. But sometimes I still see people go out, sourcing, because you got a monitor for cheap, let's say for 3 euros or $3, it's 19 inches. You go ahead and buy it. I'm telling you, you're buying that monitor even for 3 euros. You're coming home to list it. That's just already time wasted, because it's very unlikely that somebody in 2026 is going to buy a 19 inches monitor, except the person is just someone that is absolutely out of touch, or somebody needs that particular size for a certain reason. But most of the time, people will tend to buy the 24 inches monitor, and when it's too bad, they want to buy the 22 inches monitor. This is exactly how you should be thinking. If you constantly just go out in the cold, today is like -2 degrees here, as a matter of fact, go out, spend time just going to drag a lot of inventories. You spend money buying them, you bring them home, you want to list them, and nobody's buying them. This is not the best way to do the business. As a matter of fact, what you're actually doing is preparing yourself to be burnt out. Of course, if you have researched the items that people want, you have done your best to, list them on the platform, say eBay, there's pretty much nothing you can do. This is presupposing that you have listed the item correctly. The format in which people also kind of buy things. I tend to list my items as variations, so that when somebody ends up, in my shop, somebody that is determined to buy a PC, I will pretty much make sure that that person doesn't go. I've gotten every kind of, combination, what kind of RAM, what kind of SSD, what kind of, if the PC should have a wireless LAN adapter. I made sure that the offer I have set up, captures whatever objection, that a potential buyer will have. Of course, also capturing the objection of the item being too expensive. Sometimes I take a look at what my competitors are selling, take a look at what's in the market and try to adjust my price, sometimes cut my profit a little bit, just to make sure that when somebody finally lands in my shop, there's absolutely no reason for he or she to go away. If you have done all this and you have set up your offer on eBay, there's pretty much nothing you can do but to wait for eBay, being the bedrock of reselling, to do the work that they have signed up to do, which is to make sure that these offers are shown to people all over the world. I see eBay offers, eBay adverts on Instagram, on TikTok, on Facebook, and on Google. Yes, eBay is doing its job to make sure that these offers, are shown to people around the world that actually has, the intention of buying. If you sell PC, a PC, but if you sell clothing, the same thing. If you sell shoes, the same thing. They show these offers, making it possible for people to see, click, and possibly, buy your item. And sometimes you might also say, look, I want to support this process of, eBay showing my offers to people. I want to promote my listings such that my offer gets shown the most, it enjoys a lot of priority when it comes to search rankings. This is also possible. eBay has given us a tool to pay a little bit of money. Perhaps you want to say 5% of the final value fee of the item. I want to pay that to eBay so that eBay places my item just above, so that when anybody goes ahead to search on a particular item, my item has the possibility to show up first. And if every other thing has been crossed, which is the price, the picture, the item is in demand, has been checked, you have the chance to sell this item. It's a beautiful, area to be in. Sometimes you have to use a little bit of strategy to make sure that things work. Sometimes all you have to only do is just to list the item and leave it there. But on other times, you also have to support the process. Supporting the process might be, sometimes you say an item has been listed for so long, is not selling. And what you want to do in this case, take out the picture, try to see if you can change the picture angles, change what buyers are seeing that's making them bounce. Perhaps the lighting was bad enough, or even the description wasn't good enough. It's a beautiful area to be in. It's all very involving. Gone are the days where we used to think that reselling is just, a job or a business for weak people that kind of are drop out. They do not know what to do with their lives. I'm telling you, 2026, the smartest people are even getting involved in reselling. They are, pulling all their experience from other areas of life, using it, to be in reselling. They are pulling their experience from IT, from sales, from marketing, and they are coming to reselling. I'm telling you, I check out a lot of YouTube videos, all trying to see what business model is working or is trending in 2026. Year in, year out is the same thing. After all said and done, everybody comes back into reselling. So if you are not constantly thinking of how you can also be a reseller at this point, you might be doing yourself a disservice, because every day more and more people are coming in. Some people say it's kind of saturated. Each time I hear that, I just laugh. It's saturated if you are selling items that people do not want. And if you are selling the items that people want, and you are putting a lot of work to ensure that you have a very good sourcing strategy, I'm telling you, eBay is actually far from being saturated, because at the end of the day, people's inventories will go down. I'm talking about people selling new stuff, because people can pretty much put new items on rinse and repeat. But if you are a reseller, which presupposes that you sell pre-owned items that have been used and now they are being passed back again to the secondary market to be used again, I'm telling you, there's no saturation there. There is always going to be that unique item, and your item is always going to be a little bit better than the item of somebody else. Because if you sell laptops, perhaps your competitor has a laptop, the same configuration, but there are just so many signs of use on the laptop, and yours is in very good condition, clean, yours has a better battery life. There are just so many reasons why somebody will stop on your shop and want to buy something. So like I said, beautiful transactions. This Lenovo needs to be packed now and shipped out today still to the buyer. Hopefully, this is not the end. Today is just Monday, a new day, a new week. Hopefully, we are going to get more sales this week. I am absolutely hopeful, because hope is something that you need to put on the table in this business. If you have a mindset of no, it's not going to work, you're kind of like doubtful of the process, I'm telling you, it might not work for you. But if you wake up in the morning and say to yourself, even though the cloud looks kind of gray, I've not made sales over the weekend, but I am hopeful that today somebody's going to come by, stop on my shop and buy something, you will see things happening for you. I hope this video helps you to start your week. If it does, please go ahead to the comment section. Let me know what you think. write me a comment. I will be glad to reply. And if this video was also like just, yapping for you, you feel like there was no value in it, also let me know in the comment section. I would also be glad to reply. Until I see you again in the next video. Peace.